It's a beautiful day. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. What is up? I am Charlie Shrem, your host, and you're listening and watching another epic episode of Untold Stories where together, twice a week, we get to dive deep with some of crypto's most influential leaders and weave a nuanced narrative of how this movement really came to be, who are the people, where we are right now, and where we're going. And it's really cool because, over the last 3 years, a lot of times it's like we're focused on if we're in a bear market, like what's going to happen next, or if we're in a bull market, what is happening like in the past, or like if it's today where you're seeing the UST Luna crazy, craziness, what's going on there and with the stablecoin world and with Bitcoin and with the whole inflation. People want to know like what's happening right now, what's happening today. So it's like really fun to be able to do that. It's my honor, a pleasure to introduce, you guys are in for a real treat today. Halsey Minor, thank you so much for coming on Untold Stories today.
Okay, thanks for having me.
You are one of the digital media pioneers, known for starting CNET in 1993. Now you recently founded Vivid Labs. You've built so many companies in the non-crypto space and in the crypto space, like a company that we actually had the CEO, JP, on the show of Uphold, Salesforce, Google Voice, so many different projects. And now you're really tackling with Vivid Labs, the NFT publishing platform, which seems to me like the world is amalgamating and realizing that there is going to be like a relationship between content, crypto, NFTs, and our relationship to that content. And that relationship is not just like a one-time, here's an NFT. What people forget about NFTs is that they're constantly being written too. It's the NFT it's a movable piece of code, not like, oh, I'm just giving you a JPEG and here it is, I'm selling it to you. That's not what that is. So we're learning how to like create rich media experiences, but like maybe capture that cultural asset layer, if you will. Like what makes, if we all lived in a very transactional world, we wouldn't get anywhere. We were talking about this the other day. I had another guest talking about this, Halsey. Like we need social layers. We need to be able to like, I'll do for you because I don't expect anything in return, and back and forth, vice versa. That's really what creates the world and what makes the world amazing. You think we could capture that in an NFT? And I think, is that where the world is going?
Yeah, I'd love to tell you about our take on NFTs. It in many ways combines a lot of the things I've done over the last 27 years. So you mentioned I started CNET and built that into a NASDAQ 100 content site. So we really, at CNET, we really sort of created the idea of a media website. It ended up being a $500 million a year business when I left in 2000. We spun out the leading web publishing software platform called Vignette. I left, co-founded Salesforce, spent 4.5 years doing that, then launched created Google Voice, created OpenDNS, and then created Uphold. And you said you had JP on.
Yeah.
JP was the first person to believe in the idea, put money in the idea. And then after I left, ultimately ran it. So I've seen pretty much kind of every wave, the sort of come and gone, but most of them haven't gone. I mean, I think my companies today are worth about $285 billion and have 320 million viewers a month for the various different websites. So media has been, media and kind of cloud software have been, two things that I've been sort of inexorably sort of linked to and have had success in and really enjoy sort of, trying to figure out unique and novel ways to leverage. And so we brought an entirely different point of view to NFTs. I mean, it's significantly different in the way that we think about NFTs versus the way NFTs work today. So the most important, I think the two most important parts, and there are a number of important parts, but the two most important parts are you can put any kind of asset in our NFT. You can put video, audio, you can put tickets that go into your Apple Wallet. You can put FBX files for 3D. You can put AR. You can put literally any kind of asset can fit. And we also, because of our video heritage, we support you can put multiple movies in a single NFT. So we have very, very strong capabilities around video as well. So there's so many use cases that this opens up. The second part, which is it's a very simple idea, but it's probably as strong as the other, is that our NFTs can be updated forever. So you can imagine people in the music industry who release a song, they have footage from concerts, they have footage from recording studio, they have album art, they have liner notes, they have images of the creators, the music act. But then they can push tickets to you, or they could push their tour schedule. So we're seeing some really, really amazing kinds of use cases that you just don't hear about in the NFT world today. I mean, we've got some really interesting use cases that we're already underway with today.
What do you? I get this question all the time. I'm heading over to the Cannes Film Festival next week, and I'll be actually doing some live shows from there. I'm hosting on May 22nd a big party. If anyone is going to be in Cannes or France, send me a message, because we're doing like a crypto NFT Bitcoin event with Coin Agenda, which is a big Bitcoin conference. It's like the same week. So we're doing like a big thing. We have celebrities, film studios, big hedge funds, and they all ask me the same thing. Like, Charlie, we have assets that have communities. Snow White, like famous movies, Blank Check, and all these things that are still making tens of thousands of dollars a month over decades. And they see NFTs as like this value add, but they don't know what to do or how to do it. What would you do?
We see what we're creating as an entirely new media format. And we think we have a number of current customers in the music industry. So for music, instead of just releasing a file for streaming, which generates some revenue, you have the ability to actually sell the same content. So you can sell the song with art, with video from the recording studio, with a whole bunch of other assets that makes it particularly valuable. So we have, I don't know when this is launching, but
Sure.
we're doing something for Airbud, which is the TV show that's on Netflix now.
What are you guys doing with them? This is cool. I'm checking this out. I love Airbud. That was my favorite show when I was a kid.
Yeah. So there are a lot of assets that you create, whether you create a movie. Let's just take an example of if Fast and Furious 1, had launched and had sold their video as an NFT, they could have put a lot of additional content in it, and then they could have maintained a relationship with you for 2 years while they were making number 2, and then while they were making number 3. So this ability to constantly update an NFT, the really, really powerful marketing method. So we've got a lot of people in media, but we've also got these completely different use cases. That one of them is just fantastic that we're developing with an entrepreneur. So obviously, when people sign their last will and testament, there's a lot of litigation that goes on afterwards, right? Was the person sober or under duress when they signed it? Were they actually sort of mentally capable of making the decisions that they made? So the company they're launching uses our NFTs to take the actual last will and testament and put it on the blockchain, along with video from the person whose last will and testament it is. So what can you do with that? Well, he can explain exactly why everybody is getting, or she
Yeah.
can explain exactly why everybody is getting what they're getting. So the full rationale can be fully explained, which is not captured in the legal document. They can prove that they're of sound mind. They can prove the date that it was signed, because it's signed and goes on the blockchain. And then they can leave messages for their loved ones. So, it's a kind of beautiful thing to be able to do, right? You're able to record something for each and every person. So it's, they came to us because it's a lawyer who's, sees
This is so cool.
how much litigation goes on as a result of this. And the video, in conjunction with the documents that are all on the blockchain, this is the belief, should greatly reduce litigation after last will and testament is signed, but also provide a level of sort of humanity that doesn't come when you just get you just read the read the document to the heirs. So there's once you start
Wow.
conceiving of this, not an NFT as a GIF, but you can start conceiving of it as like a website. It's like, because when we were doing CNET, we started in '93. We were very, very, very early, and we at CNET we really did sort of create the modern sort of website.
Oh my God, CNET was the homepage of the internet. Like I grew up on CNET. Actually, the first article ever written about me in Bitcoin in 2012 was a CNET article. So my whole life. I feel like I'm talking to Santa Claus here.
Yeah, so we not only sort of created the modern sort of web publishing kind of concept, but our software we spun out, and that became an $11 billion company called Vignette. So we played a very early role in publishing. And I was struck when I was doing CNET that I could put graphics together with text and animation. We actually had 5 TV shows too, so we could put video there. And so there was this new thing called the website. And it's very interesting because a lot of people didn't get the website. I mean, it seems so obvious right now, but Bill Gates, for the first 2 years of the internet, it wasn't until 1997, when we were a year away from being a NASDAQ 100 company, that he finally realized that the web and the internet was going to be interesting.
I just want to know if there are any like open source software like this, like discovery mechanisms for people. Like if you like this, then you may like that, because I could see definitely NFT in that respect being helpful there.
Well, I think there are companies that are, I saw a business plan for some company that wants to look at what NFTs you have and then tell you what other NFTs are out there. There's some complexity in doing that, right? Because if, let's say, I think we're going to create a whole new market for, if you go back 10 years or 15 years, it was a golden age of movies because people went to the movies and they also bought the DVD. So they got paid twice, right?
Yeah.
So we're trying to do this again with a lot of industries like music, for instance, where you can sell your song, but you also have a separate item that you create that has art and all kinds of things. And so you can monetize your content again, and then maintain that relationship with your, with your fans by making it updatable. So if you tried to look at the NFTs that I bought and let's say they're all music related, you'd have to figure out what other kind of bands I like, and that's a hard problem, even for Spotify to figure out. But there are people trying to do these kind of predictive models. We have in Alpha, we have a very, very small group of people right now, but we're creating an app that has all these capabilities, working with a few very large, interesting partners.
Yeah.
And part of what we have to do is to figure out, like Twitter or like Instagram, how do we find the right kind of NFTs that sort of match what your level of interest in. But so I think you kind of have the website on one side, and then you've got kind of Twitter and Instagram on the other side, and we kind of see the sort of NFT thing being kind of right in the middle. It's kind of like a website has lots of content to it, but it's also updatable. So it's social.
You're also making me think about this whole term of like Web3. And I'm wondering if you see what this all is as Web3, because there are very few people that could actually say like what was Web 1 and was Web 2. Is this actually like Web 3? Like, how do you feel about that, having built your companies in like a Web 2 or whatever?
Yep. I mean, it's really interesting. I've always sort of struggled with what Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3 are, because they've all kind of blended together for me. I've sort of been active in sort of Web 2.5, Web 1.5. So,
Yeah.
but I can say for what we're doing that this is the most interesting thing I've done since CNET, when we were figuring out what a website was, and then Salesforce, well, we were figuring out what this new model for software was capable of doing. The ability to be able to package up all this content and then to be put it in a container and be able to sell it or share it for free. We don't, because there are models for both. I had a sister who died not long ago, and if we had sort of had the software ready, I would have put together videos and images and all kinds of stuff, and then I would have shared it out to my broader family. So the concept, I think, it doesn't just work for things that you sell. It can also work for, it can be a locker that's for things that you want to put together and you want to share. So it's like more content than Twitter or Instagram, less content than a website.
You had this world that you built that was based on like people going to a web page, right? So you build the page or you build the site or you build the content and someone's coming to you. But now it's very three-dimensional because you've created this movable locker, if you will, that contains everything, that can constantly be written to. So it can be changing in real time. But at the same time, it's what changes it. It's not what the creator says. It's also based on the user's interactions throughout the world. So it's like you pick up this knapsack when you start your life, if you will, and you're carrying it around through your backpack through your life. And that's the NFT. And in the NFT is this like this Web3 world that now you own also. Is that kind of like, I'm always trying to like get into how people perceive these things.
Yeah, I mean, whenever I do these things, I think in terms of use cases. I bought my daughter when she was born. I bought her a charm bracelet, and I've been collecting
sweet.
charms when we travel. And on each of the charms, I've written down where it is. But to be able to turn that into an NFT, right? So I take a picture of I take a picture of the bracelet, and then every time I go someplace, right, I put in some video about the place and where we got the charm. We really see sort of anything kind of being turned into an NFT, right? That I mean, obviously it's not anything, but anything you care about can become an NFT. And a lot of the use cases now are really around sort of sports and art. They're very limited in amount of content. But, having, started companies that are 25 years old now, you see, how much things can evolve over the years. NFTs is going to be a new insurance format, right? I mean, you're going to take pictures of everything that you bought and all of the receipts that you have, and you're going to update them, and that's that's where that industry is going to work. Just like the lawyers who do last will and testaments are no longer going to be just doing documents.
So you're looking at NFTs as a potential, like, dude, this is crazy. This is cool because
I think in my mind they compete with websites. Like there was the website. I spent all this time trying to figure that out. Okay, what can we do on a website? What do people really want? How do you And for me, the NFT is as fundamental in the way that we practice it. It's as fundamental as the website is. It's just and here's a really, really great irony, right? I don't know if it's ironic, but as it is interesting.
Sure.
If you went and you talked to anybody in the enterprise blockchain world, let's take IBM as kind of the quintessential example.
Yeah, they're a perfect example.
If you watched any of the TV commercials that IBM did, they were all farm to table. What I mean by that is they claimed that they could track your vegetables from the time they're picked all the way through to the store. Okay. All of their use cases were like that. The other use cases they had were around, trade, moving products, along the line, and they would write on the blockchain kind of every step in the process. So, that's really the best use case that a lot of these enterprises have come up with. I mean, it's been somewhat disappointing how the enterprise used the blockchain. If you think about it, that's kind of what this is, right? I mean, this is using the blockchain for, people have looked at storing a lot of different things on the blockchain. Why don't we store everything on the blockchain? And then use that power, to be able to, capture meaning, context, content.
Yes. You can capture context. Yeah.
You capture context. I mean, that's what video gives you. It gives you context that you don't otherwise have. It's true for a band. It's true for a movie. If you buy the DVD of the movie, they can have the making of the movie. That's also part of the DVD, right? They can have assets that are part of the movie. They can have three-dimensional assets that they give you and you can play around with.
It's so funny that I know you're right because I work in film distribution as well. And the end of the DVD was literally the end of like independent film because
terrible.
Yeah. At that point, there was no output so you can still get like a Walmart DVD deal. So we just made a movie and we're working on like a Walmart DVD deal and we'll break even on the Walmart DVD.
Yeah.
Which is okay because it's more of like, I want to hold the DVD of the movie we made.
Correct. Yeah. But it's not the big payday that it used to be when everybody went to the movie and they bought the DVD. And that was the gold. That was the true golden age of Hollywood. Was when people were willing to do both of those things. We want to create a world where our artists have a new way of both expressing themselves creatively and generating additional revenue from the content they create. For music, I have no context now when I listen to a song on the radio, right? I mean, the context of the album is gone, right? I mean, you used to lay out songs and you laid them out, in a way that made sense, at least to the artist. That's gone. Nobody does that anymore. I mean, I guess some people listen to albums, but not really.
No, you're right.
So it's bringing lots of context back to the album cover was context, right? So streaming has kind of stripped all that out. And so we're trying to give people in the music industry an opportunity to start monetizing their content in a new way that lets them communicate tons of context about who they are and their music and what it's about. All the things that make a difference.
Do you think people will like maintain NFT collections the same way they maintain like DVD collections?
Yeah, I think so. I think
Similar
so.
like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I mean, you'll have, you'll have tons that are, you sort of, put in an archive, and you got the ones that you have, right now. I mean, and there's so many uses. I mean, I have, like I said, we have this app that we're
It's a really cool app.
quasi secretly selling, but
No, I'm
I can
looking at it
put in
right
my
now. It's really cool.
no, the app's not is not out.
No, the screenshots on here.
But I put all of my kids' COVID stuff in a single, NFT. So I just kind of pull that up, and I've got images and all stuff, and so that's kind of a weird kind of NFT. It's an NFT of convenience, and context. Um, so it's we're really kind of exploring the limits
Yeah.
of what these are, and we're seeing again the NFTs are kind of like websites. There's just you can have paid websites, you can have free websites, you can have you can have all
Oh.
kinds of models
You can have
around.
websites where it costs money. You can have investing websites. You can have
Yeah,
free meme websites. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
right,
So it's
right.
like the same argument. It's like if you create a website and someone gets value out of it, that's not a security. So it's similar with NFTs. Oh, we're just giving the SEC more work now. Jeez. No one can figure this thing out. I feel bad for the regulators.
We're fighting back hard against that. I mean,
Yeah.
we're working with a big company or two, and it's very important for the entire industry that we're able to um, make sure that these NFTs are treated like content. Like, my I have said that we're not that different from a streaming service. So when it comes to um, how much the major platforms charge for in-app stuff to to the regulatory environment. I mean, if you buy a song from iTunes, you don't need to do KYC.
Yeah, good
So
point. Yeah, you're right.
yeah, so to me, the whole the sort of look. I mean, if you buy a really really expensive NFT, then maybe you should do KYC. But I mean, and by the way, I'm all for AML KYC. I mean, we do it at Uphold, and I think it's a very important part of the regulatory
It's a super
oversight.
important part, but it's like our job here is helping the regulators figure out where to draw that line, because at the end of the day I believe that everyone's like good and their job is just to root out like scams and frauds, but we have to be self-regulatory, and it doesn't really help when the thing with the stable coins and things like that happen, and and it's just we go crazy a little bit and get a little bit too greedy. I've even been watching what's been going on in the industry the past few days.
No, I actually haven't followed the stablecoin. It's been about stablecoins. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
USDP.
Yeah. Well, and actually, this brings me up to a good conversation that I want to talk to you about. So, like, you have people try to ask me what stablecoins are, and there are probably three different types of stablecoins. You have like the USDC, USDT style stablecoin that are basically backed by either like varying percentages of cash, treasuries, dollars in a bank accounts, or like very, very, very highly graded like government debt or whatever it is. Some other ones hold like commercial paper of like businesses, debt against major IBM type businesses. But then you have the algorithmic stablecoins, which over the past 10 years have tried and failed to build a
It doesn't.
stablecoin. Sorry?
That's never made any sense to me. How do you have something that's not backed that guarantees that it has value? It's if the value is totally in the eye of the beholder can very easily decide that that is zero.
Yes.
If it's backed by USDC, if it's backed by dollars in a bank account, the user can't. That doesn't make sense.
But
the user
obviously,
can't
the person responding to you would say, "Well, what if like you're holding the USDC and the dollar fails? Then yeah, you're losing the dollar. You know,
because
you
the
can make
dollar's
the
never going to
same.
fail. If
You
the
can make the
dollar
same
fails,
agreement. Then we're all screwed. Yeah, at that point,
if
I don't want to live in that world anymore.
if the dollar fails, we literally don't have society anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I'm being dramatic about that.
No, you're right. You're right.
Now the dollar goes up and down in proportion to other currencies.
So you had this stable coin, right? That was UST, that was supposed to be in a decentralized way, backed by Bitcoin and Luna. Now, backing it by Bitcoin, I could see working in maybe a few decades from now, because existence and value
Too volatile.
is generational. You need kids to like wake up, and you need old people to die when Bitcoin has already been existing. It needs Bitcoin is so early. It needs decades of generation to really be in this like the gold where people really believe that it's like a long, like you can make the same argument of like building a stable coin backed by gold, right? Like what if gold is only valuable because all the people holding it believe it has value? Same thing like Bitcoin and dollars to some extent. However, and what I'm getting at here is I think that stable coins in the future are going to be backed by businesses like yours. And what I mean by that is I think stable coins are going to be backed by, it's so radical, and I hope I'm right, backed by cash flow. So instead of if you're holding one stable coin, instead of knowing that that stable coin is $1 sitting in an account, you know that that is guaranteed $1 of profit at the end of the year or something like that. And I don't know how you get to that, but that's where I think this thing goes.
That's kind of like buying a stock with a coupon.
Yeah, same exact type of thing.
It pays interest.
A stable coin, you could argue that if you take, and here's a great idea for a stable coin. I would buy this stable coin. If you had a stable coin that included a basket of like stocks that are just geared towards paying a stable dividend. There are stocks that are around for like 100 years that just pay dividends. Like, I don't know them. I'm not really a stock trader, but that's a perfect example. But there's going to be middlemen involved, and there are going to be broker dealers and prop shops and trading desks and regulations and lawyers and blah, 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 that are just going to take the fees along the way. It's not worth it anymore. But if you have a crypto DAO cash flowing business like yours, that if the money doesn't leave crypto, if the profit stays in the crypto ecosystem and then goes directly into backing a stable coin, we've just created our own dollar. We've just created our own in economy currency.
We've also violated a lot of
shit. Yeah, I know. I'm leaving the room. I know. I'm not going back to jail. I'm just saying it's really cool.
Yeah. It's not going to work. Not today.
Not today. Maybe in a generation or two from now. But this is like the forward-thinking stuff that I'm sure you thought about. Can you go back and think about when you were building in the 90s? Like, I wish the internet did this, or I wish I could do that.
At the time, I wish you could use. I wish you could have done video better. Yeah, I mean, we were producing TV shows, and video was very difficult over the early internet with dial-up modems.
In the technology, like I just, the other day I downloaded Flash again because I needed to use it for something. I wanted to play an old game that I used to play on eBaum's World. Do you remember eBaum's World or whatever?
No.
It was just one of these like type of sites that you could play Flash games or a New Underground or whatever. You could play all these Flash games. Like, could you believe that Flash is just not even used anymore? It's like technology that, what's the word? They sunset.
Yeah, I always hated Flash, so it made CNET slower. So I always hated. We have advertisers want to do Flash ads, and they'd screw up the loading of a page.
Yeah, I was that guy who made Flash ads. That was my first job right out of high school. I downloaded Macromedia Flash, and I just started learning how to create my own animation. I would design ads for people using Flash, but it would slow down the whole website. Back the good old days. So what's next for Vivid Labs? Like, what you guys, so if I have a property, a film that I've already made and sold, should I come to you to create the NFT product around that?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, look, you can do two things, right? You can create something and put it on Netflix, and you can create an NFT with us, and put in a bunch of other assets and monetize it. I mean, it's it's really up to the it's if you have a lot of creativity and you can come up with ways of supplementing. They used to do this with DVDs. DVDs
Yeah.
had additional information content on them, right?
Yeah.
So it's not this is really kind of an old idea when you start talking about but so when they had these DVDs that had all this other content on it, um, it was a DVD, so it was not, it was digital but not transportable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think like I said, there are industries that are like the legal profession, all the way through to the content creation industries today that can really take advantage of our platform.
I like what you talked about earlier with potentially NFTs taking over like litigation. I mean, how many lawsuits would be prevented if like the connection between parties was predefined, and like the last will is such a great idea for that.
Yeah, and expressed in video alongside the agreement.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Thank you so much for taking the time and coming on Untold Stories today and teaching us so much. We're going to go out and build out all these businesses today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.